With the advent of the oil boom in the 1970s, Nigeria shifted all her attention to the black gold, neglecting her other rich resources which had always made the country stand out in the committee of nations. To many, this black gold was more of a curse than a blessing.
The total annual plan for a nation depends on how crude oil performs internationally. Then you know that there's a problem for that nation.
But today, the fortunes of oil have dwindled, and there is a renewed drive to diversify the economy and refocus policymakers to other burgeoning economic sectors in Nigeria.
It is key and important to upgrade and grow the non-oil export. It is the only way that will provide vast employment for the citizenry and engage virtually most of the citizens in one activity or the other.
So if you're talking about what is exportable, the first thing that I will say is exportable that is not just a potential, it's already there, is services. Nigeria has huge human capital potential, trained and trainable manpower in Nigeria.
I think the most lucrative area for Nigeria, and I have the support of the World Bank in this, is agriculture.
Diversification of the economy came with major challenges. There were diverse voices, and there seemed to be a discordant tune coming from the non-oil producing and exporting community. For example, the Exporters Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria remains the most vocal voice of Nigerian exporters. But as the name implies, it only represents the interests of manufacturer exporters, leaving the much larger percentage of actors across other sectors, including services, unrepresented.
I've had experience with the tomato processors. I've had experience with the cotton textiles and garment associations. I've had experience also with the leather industry. All these are industries that are non-oil, and given the right environment, and if they're able to come together and pull their voices in one sincere, because sincerity often seems to be the problem.
The lack of a coordinated, articulate vehicle with which government can relate. That's what has been killing.
We have so many small splinter commodity associations, minerals associations, name them, trade associations, arts and crafts and the rest. So many of us in different forms, operating different levels, pursuing different similar agenda in different way, and therefore wasting a lot of resources.
The fragmented nature of the country's non-oil export sector has made it difficult to identify the most appropriate body with which to engage or consult when it comes to discussing issues related to the sector. Several subgroups have developed purporting to represent the non-oil export sector, while in truth, they only cater for the specific interests of their own membership along the value chain. The need for an umbrella, credible, independent and private sector-driven vehicle with broad-based participation and leadership has always been an imperative. A UK aid initiative, PDF2, recognizing this non-structured community and visioning the potential of a common voice and proper structure, organized series of non-oil export dialogues aimed at eliminating the various barriers to non-oil exports in Nigeria, with special focus on MSMEs.
Those meetings, original meetings, the PDF meetings, because even at the beginning, there was a lot of disagreement about strategy. There was a lot of disagreement about priorities, even amongst those who now compose the network, So those meetings helped us to really begin to understand one another, difficulties we all who were in that particular sector faced, and to also ponder upon the solutions that were being suggested by different parties, and to see that there were indeed solutions that were possible if we were to implement them.
The result of these series of dialogues gave birth to a non-oil exporter community of practice. Within the community of practice, a number of business-to-business, networking and collaboration happened, leading to joint export initiatives, information sharing, and hand-holding. In view of these and other benefits, as well as the need for sustainability beyond PDF2, the non-oil export community of practice transformed into a standing business membership organization that will continue to sustain the outcomes of PDF2 and now PDF Bridge interventions. This business membership organization became formal, registered under the statutes of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a not-for-profit organization. The Network of Practicing Non-Oil Exporters of Nigeria, Npnen, was birthed.
It is my great pleasure on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria and to the glory of God to launch the Nigerian where the network of practicing non-oil exporters association, and it is my hope that this group will grow and help to really diversify our economy and create wealth, create jobs for the people of Nigeria.
Formally launched on March 4, 2020 at the Eco Hotel, Lagos, Npnen hopes to balance the voice and interests of the big businesses with the voice and interests of the MSMEs in the formulation and implementation of government policies affecting the private sector.
It's an aggregation of industry experts with the right connection, with the right knowledge, and with the right reach and contacts to be able to open doors that would hitherto had been closed.
Well, Npnen is now providing a platform whereby all the respective voices will come and put down their views, and Npnen as an organization or association will be able to speak on behalf of the respective sectors as opposed to them doing it by themselves. And all the bottlenecks or obstacles that come with trying to export your products or services will now be taken care of by Npnen as a formidable organization.
You have Sesame Producers Association. You have Sesame Exporters Association. You have Sesame Processors Association. Now, tell me, when you bring the three groups under the same umbrella and they are able to talk to themselves, and then we have the support from the Office of His Excellency, the Vice President, from the Bank of Industries, from the Bank of Agriculture, from the Development Bank, from even the Nigerian Stock Exchange, where I play a significant role because I have been in that industry, I have been in that sector for close to 4 decades now. When all these things come together and the banks that are supposed to give some intervention, you can tell me better what will be the fruit at the end.
Npnen's core objective is to be a platform for dialogue and cooperation among actors in the non-oil export value chain in resolving the various challenges faced by non-oil exporters, and this will be done through regular research and delivery to government, evidence-based suggestions towards improving Nigeria's export performance, and providing members with up-to-date market information and technical assistance on export processes and procedures, encouraging joint export initiatives among members and advocating for the interests of members in government, policies, and trade.
As the acting ES of Npnen, my role would entail ensuring that Npnen fulfills its mandate of being a representative organization, representative of underrepresented voices in the non-oil export sector, advocating for reforms in that sector, being able to engage governments on key issues impacting that sector. So as the ES, as the acting executive secretary, my role is to enable Npnen to do just that. And that would also involve forming collaborations, partnerships within the non-oil export value chain, for which Npnen is an umbrella organization. My role would entail communicating with stakeholders both home and abroad in diaspora. My role as well would entail that I take Npnen from where it is right now to really where it needs to be.
The vision of Npnen is to realize increased Nigerian participation in non-oil export trade with specific attention to the strategic positioning of members on global compliance and competition. While its mission is to create a hub of interconnected players in the non-oil export sector, mutually committed to leading advocacy for the creation of an enabling environment for non-oil export trade and championing collaborative information sourcing, information sharing, and capacity building amongst members.
Most of the difficulties we are having today on non-oil export is compliance with excellent rules and regulations in this country, and also rules globally and policies. If a person is exporting from this country, from Nigeria, and is able to meet the requirements of the central bank and all other regulatory agencies and the shipping processes, it goes out smoothly. If the person has been able to meet the requirements of the receiving nations and the global practices, then that makes the business whole. Most of those who have difficulties, either in the country, having difficulties to meet those, or abroad, we are now, through our network, continuing to engage the government agencies and the stakeholders to see that we understand the rules, where the rules are okay and applicable, and where the rules have challenges and cannot be applied, we seek modification, adjustment, or some concession for a certain period, transitional arrangement. That is in the first plan, the first thing. The second thing is to make it competitive. We definitely know if we do not have, if our costs are high, we cannot be competitive. What is produced and sold or retail at some locations at $5, for instance, if our cost of production here is already $5 or above, definitely we cannot export to that other economy. So we try to first, through our network, bring our members together to let them understand how to benefit from the economies of scale, get government to listen to us and give us certain transitional concessions because of certain difficulties.
The management structure of Npnen is made up of the board of trustees who are committed statesmen and women, including 2 former ministers, a retired director of Trade and Exchange Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the chairman of the Exporters Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, while the Executive Council is a conglomeration of all export trade-related membership-based organizations in Nigeria. Management led by an executive secretary, technical working committees, and the General Assembly, which is the highest decision-making body of the organization. Npnen recently got a lift from none other than the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, when he recognized the organization and committed himself to working with the group for the development, adjustment, and implementation of policies for the benefit of non-oil exporters.
I see Mr. Boyede Olufemi, Network of Non-Oil Exporters Group, or I don't know whether he's chairman or is the president. We would like to engage because it would be nice for you guys to have a group that the stakeholders, in this case CBN and government, can engage with, so as to ensure that whatever is acting as bottleneck, making it difficult for you to conduct your export activity in a seamless manner, that will get rid of those bottlenecks.
So why should a non-oil exporter or one who intends to export non-oil goods or services join Npnen?
I think if I am an exporter, any opportunity that is given to me to ensure that the products or services I am producing are being exported ethically, legally, with the least difficulty, why wouldn't I join?
The network of practicing non-oil exporters of Nigeria will provide you with, in the first instance, the platform to get all the information you need to be a competitive exporter. Provide you with a platform that you could be trained, given capacity that you need to meet all the requirements in the country and abroad, gives you the linkages that you could have an uptaker for whatever you want, and gives you also budget arrangement.
You want to understand what services export is and to actually put yourself on the world export map in your specific profession. Npnen is where to go.
If you walk alone, you'll walk for 100 miles, but if you enter a moving vehicle, you will be able to cut down your journey by a considerable amount. You'll be connected to a network of people who are connected. Apologies for using the word connected repeatedly, but basically people who will shorten your journey.
Npnen is representative of the different pockets that exist right now. So in terms of advocacy, Npnen is able to also inculcate their voices into the advocacy efforts that have happened and will also happen in the future. So if you're a member of Npnen, trust me, your voice becomes heard.
If all of these about Npnen does not convince a budding or potential exporter from joining this organization, then it could be concluded that the exporter is not serious about business. Without blowing a trumpet, it is obvious that the achievement of Npnen in the last 1 year has been phenomenal. With a Nigerian holding the #1 spot in the World Trade Organization and the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade, the scope of what Npnen is up for and benefits for its members cannot be quantified. If you want more information on the network of practicing non-oil exporters, kindly go to its website on www.npnen.org or our social media handles as displayed on the screen.